Oh, what's good, man? Peace and love. Hit that thumbs up button. And originally I didn't want to be no party poople or whatever, but it's getting out of hand. It's starting to get a little embarrassing. People are popping fireworks. People are marching in the streets. Spike Lee's in Brooklyn with white people in Fort Greene popping champagne bottles. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh my God, what's next? Okay, so you got the boogeyman out of office. He's leaving in January. You're seeing all the memes and everybody's hip hop hooray. What's next? The built-in excuse is already there. Well, they got to deal with the pandemic that Trump started. People are actually blaming Trump for the pandemic. It would have happened no matter who was in office. You might have not liked how he handled it, but you can't single-handedly blame him for coronavirus. But people have been programmed by the media to dislike him even more than they already did prior to 2016, where you didn't have any real feelings towards him. Rather, you liked him or you just didn't care. Now, what they're doing now is they're praising and propping up Stacey Abrams, Democratic politician out of Georgia, because they were able to flip Georgia, and the Democrats were able to win Georgia, and that's how they were able to come to the solution or the final results. But if you look at this map, it was only really the popular cities with mostly black folks. It wasn't like they won the whole state. Most of the state is still red. You were able to pull out Atlanta, of course, Macon, Athens, Augusta, Savannah. These are the most populated black cities in the state. So you were able to get that. And I don't have a problem with Stacey Abrams at all, but her agenda was not pro-black. Her agenda was pro-Democrat. It's a difference. IceCube, they vilified IceCube. IceCube had a pro-black agenda. And you know how it is. How dare you, as a black person or a black man, demand policy or demand an agenda for black folks? Isn't voting Democrat good enough? No, it's not. I shouldn't be able to reference Malcolm X stuff about Democrats in the 60s to 2020, but you can on your own free will right here on YouTube. You know what I mean? Ice Cube asked for and demanded an agenda for black folks, for whoever was going to run and win office, and they vilified him. They changed it. The media is very powerful. They switched the narrative. They put a photoshopped a Magna hat on him and called him out to be a Trump supporter when he clearly said over and over and over, I do not endorse Trump. I've never met Trump. But you could find hundreds of pictures of your favorite rappers, hanging out with Trump. But you can't really see that with Cube. So Cube's last tweet was, let me get this straight. I get the president of the United States to agree to put over $500 billion of capital in the black community without an endorsement, and niggas are mad at me. Have a nice life. That was 2 days ago. And his plan wasn't the platinum plan. People overlooked Ice Cube all summer when he was talking about this stuff on Twitter and all the anti-Semitic stuff and blah 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 blah. And then Trump comes up with the platinum plan and y'all automatically link it. But the media, switched the narrative. That's why I say I don't get my news from mass media because they're all tainted. CNN will be your pro-Democrats, Fox will be your conservatives and your bigots. Now, if you watch CNN, of course, you probably couldn't stand Donald Trump. CNN did an amazing job in triggering Americans' emotions towards 45. You know what I mean? Not saying that 45 was a good president or he wasn't a character, because he is, but they put so much emphasis on his flaws. They made it so easy for you to hate him. And every time Ice Cube went on a black platform, if it wasn't independently owned, like Shannon Sharp's podcast, Willie D's show, Boyce Watkins, anything like that, they vilified him. You know what I mean? He was on some show with Lisa Ray and these black women. Every time he opened his mouth and tried to get his point across, they'd interrupt him. These are regular tactics that you see Fox News practice all the time when they have a black person on there. As soon as you start talking that shit and you start getting your point across, they speak over you, they interrupt you. Oh, we got to go to a commercial break. You know what I mean? They do. This is the little slick stuff that they do. Even D.L. Hughley with his influence in his show, I was this close to calling in because he did a segment the other day, Are You Hopeful or Fearful? And I'm like, fearful? I'm like, here y'all go with that scary shit, being scared of the president, but the boogeyman, Trump. And D.L. Hughley is not dumb as he's acting. It's funny because he boycotted the NFL because of the Kaepernick thing and acknowledges that the NFL switched the narrative, because they did. Kaepernick took a knee originally because he was tired of seeing cops get killed, and he thought he could put a microscope on something that had nothing to do with football on the biggest sports platform that we have. The average football game gets at least 10 million views, and that's what he was doing. It was getting momentum. A lot of other black players around the league were starting to do it. What did the NFL do? They flipped it, switched the narrative, and made it about anti-military. And it worked. It confused and divided a lot of NFL viewers. A lot of people quit watching, and Kaepernick got blackballed. So you can see the narrative being switched with the NFL, DL Hughley. But when they do it with IceCube, oh, it's different, you know, because you're getting paid by the Democrats. The Democrats are you're looking out for you. And I'm like, look, I have no problem if you're black and you want to vote Democrat or Republican, but know that you're black first. You're black first and foremost. Before any loyalty to any political party, you're black. So how could you be so loyal and so dedicated to a party and they don't even have a black agenda? And then when people say, well, what can you do specifically for black people? Excuse me? Every minority group in this country has gotten off but us. Jews got their reparations under Obama. LBGT got their own month in June. White women, hell, white women got National Women's Month in March. They got Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. You know, Asians have come up. We've seen every group come here and get off but us. But how dare black people demand an agenda? So because Ice Cube's agenda was pro-black and not pro-Democrat, or whatever, they vilified him and tried to twist it like he was a Republican Trump supporter. He didn't take a picture with Trump like Lil Wayne. He didn't say he was voting for him, but that's the narrative they twisted. So it kind of pisses me off to see how influential the media is. Where they got black people up here praising Stacey Abrams and praising Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but you canceled Ice Cube because he just wanted a black agenda, and because you're so gullible to believe what CNN and MSNBC and social media people told you, you know. And I'm seeing everybody, oh, we got a first female vice president, and oh, Joe Biden, Uncle Joe, Smoking Joe, what y'all gonna do now? And it's it is crazy. It is pandemonium, and I'm like, this is low key embarrassing. Y'all are really showing y'all ass. I just hope, as hard as y'all have been partying today, go as hard against and go as hard for policy come January, and don't let up. Because the same woman who acknowledged Joe Biden as a racist, Kamala Harris, is now your vice president. The same man who told you back in March that you're not black if you don't vote for him is now your president. So that's all I'm gonna say with that. Y'all take it easy. Do what you want to do. Celebrate good times, you know, all that, you know what I mean? But it's getting a little out of hand. And like I say, it was really the emotion that people had that led them to vote for Donald Trump. It was your emotions. Your dislike for him was the reason why you voted for Joe. Because most black people couldn't tell you why they were voting for Joe Biden other than, we just got to get Trump out. I'm like, okay, now you got him out. Are you done? Are you done? Because history tells me you niggas is done. Because usually when we get a Democrat in office, you kick your feet up, you go to the beach, you drink a lemonade, and you chill, and you stop watching the news. One thing I will say about when Trump was in office, he had a lot of black folks paying attention for the first time in a long time. You know, the guy I used to go get my haircut from never used to watch the news, had that news on every single day for 4 years, trying to keep up with what was going on. Everybody was alert and there was a microscope that you seen on what was going on, you know. And then you got people like Van Jones, and I talked about that earlier, and, you know, oh, look, America needed this because the country was divided. America's always been divided. This country was built off racism. Donald Trump did not start racism. He just put a microscope on racism and put it to the forefront and really it brought out a lot of people's true colors. That was the one thing I did like. It brought out the true colors, because I could respect a open racist than I can a closeted racist. You know, he put a microscope on something that founded this country. He didn't start anything. This thing been going on for years. You've had former presidents that were slave owners. It don't get no more racist than that. Washington, Lincoln, Jefferson. It don't get too much racist than that. And these are the people that are on your currency, on your coins and your dollars, and they got schools named after them in your neighborhoods your kids go to. So miss me with that, man. But you got what you wanted. The boogeyman is out. What are you gonna do next?